Hello, everybody. We're a little early this week. I'd actually thought about doing a show later this afternoon, but I remembered that my daughter is going to her first dance that they've had at their school in 2 weeks, or two weeks, 2 years. So I'm playing the role of Uber driver tonight, and needed to make sure that I can do that. So thank you all for showing up and being here. I'd like to thank Kimmy Security for following us on our stream here. I've already had a full day. It was nice enough outside and sunny, so I decided, I'll just go take a little jog. Hello, Queen. What's up? How are you doing? Glad you could join. I posted, Black Girls Hack Slack was looking at resources for OSCP, so I remembered I hadn't posted this blog post in there last night, so made sure I added that as part of the the suggestions, in case you don't. I didn't have a time and effort to do that, but I would have done this. The more I read about this after we got off the stream last night, the more I realized this is actually pretty good, because not only did it talk about Vulnhub practice machines, but there were also specific NetSec or hack the box machines. So that you could also use to go through and look at Linux and Windows side systems. So and then this person had a ton of information on escalating Linux and Windows privileges, and some of the additional BrainPan 1, talking about Stack Overflow vulnerabilities. That one really got me in the labs themselves. So I was unable to I was unable to get past a couple of the exercises, and it's been a couple of years, so I don't know if the exercises are the same, but there was a vulnerability in an application that you FTP'd to be able to do things. I'm doing good, Queen. It's Saturday, 10:47 a.m. Pacific time, and just hanging out and wanting to educate people. My wife and daughter went shopping, so taking the time while they're out to make that happen. So. I know my schedule said 11:30, but I was a little unprepared as to when they were going to be going, so I probably should edit that. Let me go over here. So how's everybody been? So Queen, have you what any wins this week that we want to highlight for you? 10:45 a.m. Doink. So we'll shoot for 45 minutes. So there we go. Oh, really? Okay. What kind of deals? Is it like you out shopping? I have the problem of anytime I go to a store, I feel like I can't browse, that I have to go in and buy something. When I was younger, for those of you who remember things like Sam Goody and when GameStop actually had games in it. Oh, fantastic! Congratulations! All right, completed your capstone. Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah. Fantastic. You're are not. Will you be? I think it's grocery shopping, but I do believe they were going to go stop at Target or something to go get some, leggings or something like that. She already has her dress and everything for the dance. It's not prom, and I don't know, because she's a junior, so I don't know if she's invited to prom or not. My high school was small enough that we had a junior-senior prom, because there would have been 50 seniors or something. So they were like, oh, well, let's invite 11th and 12th graders. So it's one of those things. So Um, hello everybody. Hello. Yeah, capstones are that's pretty awesome. Glad you're able to finally get that. It's it's something after being a student for 3 years to finally come up with. I have somebody at my door. Um, I'm assuming it's somebody who wants to either sell me Jesus or sell me lawn furniture. So I'm just going to let that slip. I have a ring. I have a ring doorbell, but I have turned off the notifications so that because it's annoying every time we get rain or something, it lights off. So, hello, Cyber Gladius. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate that. Hello, Angel. Glad you could join us too. But yeah, I'm expecting. I think they're gone. I tend not to answer my door, so it is what it is. Yeah, yeah, I don't know who that is, but yeah. So I'm just gonna plausible deniability here. Yeah, so we're going to be talking a little bit about TryHackMe. We're going to be discussing some things today. I was going to reach out to my mentee. Hey, Sharma. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for coming. First time chatter. Appreciate that. Yeah, I was just earlier just talking about this blog post. Eventually, if we get enough people who want to come in and hang out and do this, I'd love to set up an OSCP study group or something we could do. I'm also talking to Miss Berlin about doing some stuff so that it's not just always me doing the streams. It is. So I'll put this one up again, Sharma. I don't have whatever you did, Star Blog or Pound Blog or whatever that was, or Bang Blog, whatever that. I don't have those links directly inside of the Discord or the chat bot here. So yeah. So that's the link to the OSCP blog thing that was here. So this is not my blog. So I was just doing some searching for that. So. But yeah, that's something we'll have to look at. We may have to coordinate that through our Discord, and so yeah, we'll have to work on those items. But oh yeah, yep, people, yep. So, it was somebody trying to sell me Jesus. That's what it was. I mean, there's some nice dudes. I guess they do a lot of walk. They do a lot more walking than I do, but yeah, they managed to snag the neighbor across the street. So good for the neighbor across the street. Yeah, it's funny because I have a Ring camera, but I don't have. I'm sure they hit the button, but nothing happened. So yeah, they've been walking around. Uh, um, yeah, I mean they're good dudes, I guess. The couple times I've talked to them on the street, they, I just don't have any. I just don't have any time to, I don't have anything for them to do. So no, I don't think they were creepy through the window. They definitely. I have my blinds halfway down for the glare, so they're across the street talking to the other guy. But yeah, I don't envy their job because as somebody who feels weird just knocking on his own neighbor's house, they do that on a lot of neighbors' houses, and I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, that it takes some bravery because you get all kinds. You get people who are just like slam the door. What are you doing? Yeah, so yeah, it's just really weird. But all right, let's do some TryHackMe stuff if everybody is up for that right now. Since I can't seem to keep a streak, we're gonna go back through some cross-site scripting stuff. If anybody has anything else they want to talk about, eventually, if we do the OSCP stuff, like in the blog post there are several VulnHub VMs that will be starting up with like VirtualBox or what have you. Um, Queen, that makes sense. Yeah, or you just yeah. I it's funny because you have people who come by and be like, hey, I'm doing pest control or something, and then it's like, oh, the Johnsons down the street, the Johnsons, don't you? I was like, no. And they're like, well, are your next door neighbor, do you know Bob? And I was like, no. I mean, I wave at them if they're in their backyard across the thing, but I don't communicate with my neighbors. I don't know if that makes me a bad neighbor or what, but the only time I ever see my neighbors is when we're out in the wintertime shoveling snow. Otherwise, it's like I see them drive out of their, and I wave. So they could. OSCP test cost. That is a good question, Gladius. Let's see. Test cost. All right. So here are the pricings according to Pen 200, which is the, let me see, okay, packages. So anywhere between 1150 to 1450 or 1500, 30, 60, 90 days lab access. You get one exam attempt and it's self-guided. You can also do subscriptions. Ouch. Okay, that's a little more expensive. I mean, it's still not SANS level course stuff. But I would hope that with the blog posts that we put up and other blog posts, because it's not the first time people have prepped for OSCP using lab items from other things like VulnHub, Hack the Box, etc., that you would be able to grab that. There's also there's a prep book. Interesting. Okay, Pen 200. Start with the fundamentals. Huh. Oh, here's a PDF for that if you want to. I literally just found this, so I have no idea what they're going to be talking about in here, but there's an option there. Watch and learn from box walkthroughs. Okay, so OffSec YouTube. Okay, copy link. I don't know if I assume you're going to buy part of it is, let me see, register. I can just register. So new student, existing student. I'm assuming you have to buy lab access. You can't just buy the test. The way they're making it look like here. Courses and certification, pen testing, OSCP, earn your OSCP buying options. Yeah, it looks like you don't have the option. You have to buy at least 30 days of lab access or one of the packages they have. So I would say $1,149 is going to be a guided, a self-guided lab exam attempt and a minimum of 30 days of lab access there, Gladius. So I would say $1,149 for the test and for lab access. Let's see, learn more about the exam. So it's a 24-hour exam. Will they release a template? So here's the lab templates or the exam templates. Do we get bonus points submitting an exercise or lab report? How detailed should my lab report be? Yes, they're not looking for War and Peace. They're not looking for War and Peace. Exam restrictions have not changed. I think the biggest one I saw a couple of years ago was they were, people were obviously taking the test for someone else and they had to crack down on that. So there may be some, you're going to need a camera on when you're taking the exam. So I have a feeling there was some, and I'm not sure if that's still the case, but let me see. 3 independent targets and 1 active directory set. Okay, documentation, exploit code, exam proofs, control panel submission. Yeah, I don't know. That's about the cost of the CH test only. Okay, well, it is one of the few pen testing certs that give you, it has a practical exam. So I would say in that case, that's what it is. So if your test begins at 9 o'clock GMT, you'll end 8:45 the next day. that's the only problem I have with the test, is that they expect you to spend 24 hours, doing nothing. So I would say start as early in the morning as you can. That way you've got at least 12 to 15 hours to, get through as many tests as you can. Get well rested the night before, and if you have to spend time, spend at least a couple hours writing up your tests, take breaks. I mean, if it would help to take a 2-hour nap between hacking and use the whole of the 24 hours, but I find it hard to believe you're gonna take all 24 hours. That's not really overly friendly to people who are taking the exam, but it is what it is. I would suggest doing it on like a Thursday or a Friday or something, and make sure you can take the day before off as well, if you can, for your test. Let me see. All tools to do allowed on the exam. Okay. Back in the day, it was like you couldn't use Metasploit for some specific things, but yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, right. You're absolutely right on hand. Yeah. So yeah, we do not release numbers of people who hold certification success rate completions. So yeah. So VulnHub Exploit DB is very important. They have an offset community. Importance of community, Jeremy Miller's reflections on failure. Yeah, I would go ahead and read through some of this PDF ebook here if you have questions. Take a look through some of the YouTube stuff. If there is enough, I would say we probably need at least 3 people for an OSCP study group. If we did something like that through our Discord or what have you, I would definitely need somebody who has either gone through OSCP and has passed it to be able to help with the study group, or like a lieutenant or somebody who could be backup, because I cannot always guarantee that I would be available for study groups. So yeah. I am not. No, my career is such that I am a management weasel. So yeah, unless you're talking about someone else. So OSWP. Well, that's the web penetration one, right? So yeah, I mean that one's available as well. The OSEP one is another one that I heard is fairly hard to do as well. That's the evasion techniques, breaching defenses, advanced pen testing training. Wow, advanced, huh? So you've got the 200 level and then the 300 level. So it's fairly new course. Okay. And then they have the exploit development one. I mean they have, wow, okay. So at the time that I was taking OSCP, they only had one for exploit development. OSCE, I think, was what it was called. Oh, wireless pen testing. Is there really a lot of wireless these days that need pen testing? I thought it is web. Okay, my bad. Sorry, I thought it was web application pen testing. But hey, Sidestep, what's going on? Thank you for hanging out. Very cool. Thank you for being here. Yeah, so we're just talking about OSCP stuff, OSCE, OSWP. So hack the box. Okay, all right. Yeah, we were just poking through some stuff. I was looking through some of the XSS payloads. Companies are moving to ad hoc networks. I guess it's important too. That's true, Sharma. Yeah, I mean, I just thought that with companies doing more remote work, there's less of a office footprint. But I guess you still have a ton of more traditional companies that need ass and seats. So I mean, you're not going to be pen testing, going to somebody's house and pen testing their flat WPA2 network. Let me see. box. It's all right. Just getting started, so starting point. Okay. Let's see, we got key of the strong future. Meow. Okay. Connect to HTB. Well, I have OpenVPN. I think I have it set up for dancing. Okay. You've gone pretty far down the line here. Let me see. Okay, meow. We have meow, fawn, dancing. Okay, very easy, very easy, very easy. So sidestep. What's what's the? Oh, I see. So let me see. Spawn the machine. 3-letter SMB stands for. What port does Samba or SMB use? Server message block is actually, I think, what Windows calls it, but the Linux implementation of SMB was Samba. What network communication model does SMB use, architecturally speaking? So these are these ones you have to pay for, I'd assume? Yeah, looks like. Oh, no, okay. No. I just don't have the OpenVPN configuration settings for this. So let me see what I can do here. Okay. I don't want to be in the EU. There we go. VPN server. Sure, starting point. Why not? Always over TCP. Yeah. Yep. Open. Since I already have OpenVPN installed on my system here, connect. Edge.us starting point 1 DHCP hackthebox.eu. Yeah, this is an old login. Come on, you can connect. Come on, I believe in you. You can't see what I'm looking at, but it's the OpenVPN has gotten a nicer UI, which is nice. Remember being the old janky setup. Let's see. Yeah, starting point is all free, and then you have to unlock tier 0 machines. You have to complete all the tier 0 machines, and then tier 1 machines to unlock tier 2. Then they have, oh no, that's the other ads and stuff. Oh, I failed to start up. Why is that? Retry, error calling protect method on socket. Okay. Okay, that's fine. All right, sidestep, no worries. Your 60 days is up, so you're no longer easy sidestep, you'll be easy K. Well, I hope I don't have to restart my OpenVPN to be able to do this. All right, so, oh, appointment, okay. Oh, I see, all right. Meow. I do not appear to be able to connect to OpenVPN, so that's really weird. I'm getting an error message, so, well, dang. Oh yeah, it's really hard. Yeah, I noticed that it was very hard to find a new name on Twitch. Thankfully, nobody cared to have breaksec, or it was like, well, you're not spelling it right. So yeah. Somebody posted this on our Slack channel yesterday. talking about better grasp of cyber tactics can stop criminals faster. I would say you're going to have to, maybe make it easy K and then 1999 or something like that. So we've had Amir Lakhani on our show before. Unfortunately, he also has one of the rare podcasts that we had to hide, and you can no longer access it. By normal means. I'm sure it's somewhere in the ether where you could download it if you wanted to. But we actually had to hide that because he was doing something, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it was like 6 months later." So he was like, "Yeah, if you could, unpublish that would be great." So, but we had a good discussion with him. That's been a couple of years ago. So, all right. Well, in the interest of actually doing something that I know I can do, I'm going to go ahead and go back here to TryHackMe. Sidestep, I do apologize. I did try to get in, but OpenVPN doesn't like me, so it doesn't want me to connect to the OpenVPN profile for it. So Hack the Box was still working. It booted up immediately, so I'm not doing anything wrong, I don't think. Let me click on it and make sure I can access it. Oh no. Okay, so it's OpenVPN that appears to be the problem. So I don't want to reboot my entire box just for that. So. Well, OpenVPN is not working, period. So I don't know if it's the fact that OpenVPN needs to be rebooted or my box needs to be rebooted. But yeah, it's just sitting there spinning. The little VPN profile slider button is just spinning, trying to connect. And when I was using OpenVPN with TryHackMe, it was like almost immediate, like boom, slips over, and it's like, oh, you're connected. So there's some janky stuff going on. So. But oh well, I'll run through some of the cross-site scripting stuff real quick here, and then we'll. But yeah, seriously, if we want to do an OSCP thing on, we'll probably need to coordinate through the Discord and make sure that people have the ability and the time and effort, because that's the big thing, right? Scheduling time. I mean, just getting 3 people. The reason we can do the podcast on a weekly basis, Mr. Betcher, Ms. Berlin, and myself, is because we have Sunday evenings open. But any other time during the week is we run into time zone issues. It's like it's either 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me, and 6 o'clock for somebody in England, or time zones 7, 8, 9 o'clock. So time zones quickly get away from us. So if we did do it, we would need somebody who could run things in my when I'm not here, or schedule things accordingly. So yeah, let's talk about that in the Discord. If people are interested in doing that, I can set up a specific channel for OSCP learning. As long as we're not talking about spoilers or anything like that inside there, we can definitely talk about that. So, all right, what is payload? So XSS payloads, I think we started with the room brief. I was just talking about what cross-site scripting was. Of course, there's a number of things we talked about with HackerOne and bug bounties found in in fun-looking applications that everybody uses: Shopify, Steam Chat, HackerOne. Oh, was this the one where they actually found cross-site scripting in HackerOne itself? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. This was an actual bug in HackerOne itself for cross-site scripting. So that's kind of fun. All right, let me close that. Okay, that's Libsyn. This is the Libsyn UI that I use to post up podcasts. We just posted our part 2 of process and improvement and automation with Shannon Noonan and Stacy Cameron. Did that last night. Let me see. Did I really just close my browser window? Did I have THM in it? Oh, that's what I get. Okay. There we go. Go back to the dashboard. Cross-site scripting. Well, at least the website's fast. All right, in XSS, the payload is the JavaScript code we wish to be executed on the target's computer. 2 parts to the payload: the intention and the modification. The intention is what you wish the JavaScript to actually do. And we'll cover this with some examples below. And the modification is the changes to the code we need to make it execute, as every scenario is different. That's right. Scenarios being different. We talked about WAFs a little bit. They like to go in and modify HTTP requests. Sometimes you have to figure out what kind of WAF they're using or what kind of rule that they're having. So a lot of cross-site scripting is trial and error sometimes, and it may take a long time to actually get XSS to pop on a box. There's other times where it's just, you can run something simple like script alert XSS script, done. Sometimes, they'll block the word cookies in the WAF. So it's like, well, if I see the word cookies, then I know that they're trying to pull out session cookies or tokens or something like that. Or I actually saw one engagement where they put XSS in the actual WAF list because they were like, well, that's what an attacker will use to test if XSS is actually possible on our website. Or the alert tag. So they were like, well, we'll just block alert and we'll be good. And I was like, that's not good. People, it's like, they'll find some other way to get around that, or they'll put, you can put alert, or you can put, some people actually will take like SCRIPT, they'll look for script. So what they'll do is they'll put SCR and then start the script again, and then the WAF sees script and pulls that out, and then we'll actually reconstitute that down. I mean, there's a number of different ways. Brute Logic, I think, has mentioned that more than once, that's a way to get around some WAFs in that case, because it's all just rule sets, right? Like a normal firewall. Session stealing. Details of a user's session, such as login tokens, are kept in cookies on the target's machine. Below, JavaScript takes the target's cookie, base64 encodes the cookie to ensure successful transmission, and then posts it to a website under the hacker's control to be logged. Once the hacker has these cookies, they can take over the target session and be logged in as that user. So you see the script is to fetch. You're looking for specific cookies. You might be looking for, this might be a banking token, so banking token of America or something like that, Bank the of America, some kind of bank that has of America in it. This is a pretty good way of getting a session token, which would allow you to impersonate that person if they haven't logged off of their box and invalidated the token. And be able to gain access to their account for all intents and purposes, if it's within the window that they haven't timed out. There are definitely ways of getting around that. Keyloggers. This below code acts as a keylogger. This means anything you type on the web page will be forwarded to a website under the hacker's control. This could be very damaging if the website the payload was installed on accepted user logins or credit card details. Right, and I think we saw a news story a week and a half ago about iframes, or like you go to a website and it says click on Microsoft, and the box pops up and it looks like a super legit Google Auth or Microsoft Auth iframe that can be moved around inside the browser window. And yeah, I mean, this would be exactly what you would want to use there, where the iframe pops up. It's got this, bit of code in it where it's like, okay, username, password. It's going to collect all that stuff and automatically send it to the bad guys. So, or I'm sorry, down here where you're on key press and then it fetches it and stores it in someplace. Yeah. Business logic. This payload is a lot more specific than the above examples. This would be about calling a particular network resource or a JavaScript function. For example, imagining a JavaScript function for changing a user's email address called user.changeEmail. Your payload could look like this. So yeah, you could change their email if you had architected your web app as such that you could do user.changepw or something like that. And it sends a, I think we did an example where it was like you change the request in Sitch, in a browser, in a burp suite or something like that, where you're sending the password reset link not to you but to somebody else's email address. If you've set it up so that it verifies the change email, so you could change it to attacker versus, legit person dot hack or hacker.thm. Right. So yeah, that's what they're saying down here. Now the email address for the account has changed. The attacker may perform password reset attacks. The next 4 tasks are going to cover different types of XSS vulnerabilities, all requiring slightly different attack payloads and user interaction. So which document property could contain the user's session token? So let me see. I'm thinking it's document.cookie. Yeah. That's why Burp Suite, OWASP, Zap, Fiddler, Tamper Data, browser plugins. I believe you can also do breakpoints inside of the inspect function, I would imagine, in the browser itself, in the web developer. No, that's not it. I'm just going to type document.cookie. There we go. And submit. That is correct. Yay, I've started a streak. Oh, God. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess, Sharma, in that case, you could modify the request after you've submitted it. So, if we did a number of like IDOR ones where it was like you can go in, hit F12, bring up the web developer, look at the specific request, and you could edit and resend. I mean, it's not intercepting it in the middle, but you could go back in and edit. You could change it from a post to a get or something like that. I mean, it is limited in what it can do. I mean, technically, if there was more logic below the submission, no, that's not the case. I was going to say you could potentially put a breakpoint or something in the script if you knew where that was, but that's not the case. I am the hackerist. I'm the leadest of hackers there, Cyber Gladius. I went to the Missouri School of Hacking, so F12 all the things. F12 all the things. Let me see. This is a 5. So this is the one reason I kind of like TryHackMe better than OffSec stuff. It gives you 5 stars there, which is almost like Hunter 2. That's my password, Hunter 2. But at least tells you if you're in the right area of if it's alert, for instance, which I believe is the right answer. Yep. So which JavaScript method is often used as a proof of concept? Now, why is alert used? For those of us who don't know, the alert actually brings a little pop-up box and says XSS. So it's like popping calc on a Windows box. If you're able to pop calc on a box, that is the least obtrusive program that you could probably run other than Notepad or something like that. But if you could pop calc on a box, then you know that you're able to run pretty much any program on Windows because calc.exe is in such a place as to do so. So alert XSS or alert haha got you or something like that, or this site is vulnerable to XSS kind of stuff. Numerous times I've seen consultants with screenshots in their pen test reports that say, LOL got you. Here's the link. By the way, OSCP they tend to thrive on things like screenshots. So one of the things that I like to use for screenshots for documentation is GreenShot. It's a little older, but 100% there, Cyber Gladius. I've already been doing. I already decoded some base 64 stuff on previous exercises we did. But so some of you might be asking, well, why do I want to use GreenShot? Because I have Windows snipping tool and all that junk. I'm a bit particular about how I do things. One, the Windows snipping tool, has to be running. It does allow for things like, Control Shift, or you can use print screen or whatever. But to make any changes to it or to do a region check, it does a region. You can do like a region. kind of like this here, where you can pull it down. I don't know if y'all can see the overlay on that, but but then it opens it up in the snipping tool or in Windows Picture or Photo or whatever, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, especially if you need to do multiples at the same time. The reason I like GreenShot is because it will do things like allow you to save to the clipboard immediately. It will also allow you to output to multiple places, which is important for like OSCP, and you know, you can hotkey it whatever you want. Like I use Control-Shift-Z, and it allows me to take a region screenshot immediately, saves it to the clipboard, which then I can immediately copy paste into places like Slack or Discord, but then we'll also save it to a pictures folder on my laptop, so that when you're writing your report, you'll have all that stuff. And I take, to this day, one of the few things that my colleagues hate on for me is I take copious screenshots. So instead of me trying to paraphrase what somebody has said in a Slack chat, I'll just take a screenshot of that Slack chat and go, look here, you know, Bob sent me this, Bob agreed to this, or whatever. And you know, it's just easier. K-snip. Oh, I don't know about K-snip. Okay. And GreenShot is, no, not snip. Like K-snip. Is it some kind of K? It sounds KDE-ish. Oh my. The cross-platform screenshot and annotation tool. Hello. All right. Now see, I don't need the UI. The UI is something I do not need. Yeah, I don't need this. I want to be able to take a region screenshot and just call it done, you know. If it has the ability to do that, where I can just say I want to put it on my clipboard and I want to save it to a folder, whatever, that would be ideal. Yeah, wildcard file naming is great. That's great too, because then it'd be like, well, damn, what was I doing last night at 8 o'clock in the morning? I've been up for 24 hours. I'm dragging ass and I don't remember. Okay, yeah, this is what I was looking at 8 o'clock at night. Annotate screenshots, that's great. Okay. Crop and cut out vertical slicing images. Okay. Rectangular area, last area, full screen, current screen, active window. Yeah. Oh, so, okay. K-snip isn't a bad idea. I would like to see if it has multiple output locations. Let me see. Did I miss that? And you can upload screenshots directly to Imager and anonymous or user mode. Customizable capture delay for all capture options. Right. Full screen monitor. Annotate screenshots. If it has a way to do multiple outputs to different places, that would be great. But yeah, I mean, you know, I love new tools. So, you know, GreenShot went away. I would need to have options for that. Let me say screenshots. So yeah, see, like this here, you can, you know, there's different options for, let's see, next. Yeah, so they give you can open in an image editor, copy to clipboard, send to printer, you know, use Mozilla Thunderbird, whatever. Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I have screenshots, multiple screenshots every day. But yeah, so this has multiple ways that you can save it in the settings. So you can just save as directly. You can actually make it more difficult for yourself and just say, every time I take a screenshot, I want to manually change the file name or what have you. But yeah, the copy to clipboard and the save directly using preferred output file settings is very powerful for me. So my only thing is I go in and I'm like, oh my God, I've, you know, copied so many memes and put these in the file directory. So, but yeah, Ksnip, I'll install that and take a look at it. This is definitely looks, yeah, very much like a Qt, yeah, cross-platform tool. So just something to think about if you're doing your OSCP or any other, you know, test or engagement, or you know, pen testers, you know, they should be taking copious amounts of screenshots, just, you know, for their own edification. That way, if you've missed something, or I've seen it where people will actually take screenshots of like terminal output, you know, or commands. That way they can show, hey, I ran this command and I was able to get this to happen. Sometimes copy paste or your bash history gets wiped. Having that where you can at least fat finger those things in when you get done, or you make a mistake, very important. So yeah, every day. Probably for me on Hail, it's probably every hour. I probably take a screenshot an hour. So no joke. Yeah. Sometimes I take screenshots of meeting invites, or not meeting invites, but like when people join a conference, web conference call with me, I'll take a screenshot to go, yeah, you were at this meeting. See, I see you, and here's the time that I took this and stuff. That's where I use my PM, my old school knowledge to kind of make my PM work a little better, because I've had people go like, oh, I don't remember that meeting. I wasn't there, and I was like, you were there, you just weren't there. You know what I mean? So, anywho, let's continue on here. Oh my! All right, we got pictures, folks. See, we got screenshots all over the place. Screenshots all the way down. It is a little spooky there on Hill. I find it's easier to CYA when you can, show people. That's right, Osintness. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah. I look. I know a lot of people get busy at work, and they get invited to a bunch of meetings, and I have been at meetings where I wasn't fully engaged either. So it's, if I get called to the carpet, it's like, hey, you were in this meeting. Why didn't you do this? I was like, my bad. Okay. I take, but I have had people vehemently tell me that they have not attended that meeting, and I'll be like, pow, here it is right here, you were invited, here's the meeting invite, and here's you actually being inside of the Zoom chat. So yeah, you actually said hello in the Zoom chat, so I don't understand what the hell's going on. All right, so we're going to talk about reflected XSS. Reflected XSS happens when user-supplied data in a request is included in the web page source without any validation. Website where if you entered incorrect input, error message is displayed. Content of the error message gets taken from the error parameter in the query string and built directly into page source. The application does not check the contents of the error parameter, which allows the attacker to insert malicious code. So you see the error script. So error equals script, because, typically is a web server going to look at error messages as ways of typically being bad or something. So it makes sense that you're exploiting the fact that error messages are supposed to be pristine. Nobody's going to be using that for bad things. It would be more likely to use a successful message or something like that. The vulnerability can be used as per the scenario on the image below. So we have step 1. The attacker sends a link to a victim that contains a malicious payload. Oh, here's a victim, head scratcher. Okay. Victim clicks the link and is taken to a vulnerable website. So he went to, goggle.com or something like that. Link containing the attacker script is executed on the website. So he goes to goggle.com. When he goes in, the JavaScript is executed on the victim's machine, comes back to the victim. Number 4, the data the attacker script gathered is sent to them. They would steal the victim's cookies, which would allow the attacker to take over the victim's account. So yeah, that's pretty much de rigueur. We see that a lot, in the news. It's just a lot of people tend to forget that when you're clicking on links in emails, that's exactly what you're doing. Either that, or maybe it's not a website, maybe it's like a PDF, or somebody downloads elfbowling.exe again, or SCR or something like that. They click on the link, it takes them to a link. It could be a website where there's a PDF. They download the PDF, or they click on the attachment in that, and the PDF loads up something which it has JavaScript in it, because PDFs can contain code like that. Which could, go into their browser settings, their browser cache, and pull down those cookies, or, password lockers or what have you, and send that information over. So, how to test for XSS, reflected XSS? You'll need to test every possible point of entry. These include parameters in the query string, URL file path, and sometimes the headers themselves, although unlikely exploitable in practice. Wonder why they say that. My bad. That's interesting. I want to understand that better. Why would they mention this if they're why would they mention this if it was unlikely exploitable in practice? There must be some examples where this actually is a thing, but it's probably not useful, or WAFs are really good at blocking that. I mean, I believe you can pretty much put whatever you want to put in HTTP headers, but yeah, that's interesting. I want to go check that out. Let me HTTP headers XSS. Oh, well, maybe they're hoping that things like XSS protections, response header, unavailable. Older web browsers don't. Well, maybe not. Refer header depending on how the backend uses it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You know, if you have a refer header that will automatically send you to another site. Yeah. Okay. So Brute Logic has definitely talked about it. Obviously. So if you want to take a look at that, that's the discussion on how, if you know how it works, don't waste your time reading this. So yeah, there's an exercise here. Apparently, all the request headers appear in JSON format. It's an extrapolation. In real world scenarios, it might appear as one or two of them. It's just to make it easier, since the code is a one-liner that can be easily reproduced. So there's the JSON encode, get all headers. As you can see, using curl the command line with the I flag, it shows us the HTTP headers response along with our JSON containing our request headers. Okay, so you can insert other headers using using this one-liner. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, heard a door slam, thought my wife and daughter were back. So by adding lol, we were able to retrieve a non-cached version of the page. Okay, so there's the way to do that. We inject our own header with the -h flag to check to see if it appears back in response. So yeah, there's the example of how to use, let's see, XSS in headers. Is there anything Brute Logic cannot teach us about XSS? Yeah, so I mean, I don't have his guns or snakes here, but you know, he looks like he might actually have a, you know, he's fit. He works out a bit. So, all right, we're in a URL. We're in an URL. Yeah, they need to fix that. Is a good place to test for reflected XSS parameters. Yes, excellent. Okay, stored XSS. As the name infers, the payload for XSS is stored on the web application in a database, for example. Then it gets ran when other users visit the website or page. Example scenario: blog website allows users to post comments. Unfortunately, these comments aren't checked for whether they contain JavaScript or filter out any malicious code. We now post a comment containing JavaScript. This will be stored in the database. Right. Stored is also, I believe they call it persistent, because it will show up every time you run the page. So yeah, there's stored or persistent. This will be stored in the database. Every user now visiting the article will have the JavaScript run in their browser, right? Most of the time I've seen this would be like, not necessarily in posts, because in forums like PHPBB or something like that, the posts themselves, where the content is scrubbed for things like cross-site scripting, but like the little not brag things, but like signatures, email the signatures for the post, like, hey, you know, I'm Brian, I got blah blah blah, click here to see all the other cool stuff I'm doing. Well, click here could be this, or could be a link that is malicious. And they didn't they may be getting better at it, but that's where I've always seen those kinds of things occurring, where like the attacker inserts malicious payload into the website's database. For every visit to the website, the malicious script is activated. The victim then loads the page, unknowing that that's going to occur. The data sent by the attacker script gathered. The data the attacker script gathered is sent to them. They could then steal the victim's cookies, which allow the attacker to take over the victim's account. Malicious impact. JavaScript could redirect users to another site, steal the user's session cookie, or perform other website actions while acting as the visiting user. So performing other website actions while acting as the visiting user comes very close to things like cross-site request forgeries, where you get the confused deputy thing. The attacker can do things, or the victim can do things on behalf of the attacker, which I'm assuming we'll get to CSRF at some point. And then, users and websites have to have, prevention mechanisms against CSRF type attacks. All right, so how to test for stored cross-site scripting. You'll need to test every possible point of entry where it seems data is stored and then shown back in areas that other users have access to. A small example of these could be comments on a blog, user profile information. That's what I was talking about with like the signatures or what have you. You could technically see it in an email signature, or like a V card or something that somebody sent in an email. Hey, check out our cool website. You could do the same thing that way. It's not stored, but every person who gets that email would definitely be seeing it. Or website listings. So you could drop it into a Yelp or something like that as well, especially if you're looking, looking for a new restaurant or something, and they're like, yeah, look at my pictures. I had a really awful time. You don't want to go there. This picture pretty much sums it up, and they click on the picture, and it takes them to what looks like an Imager website where, it could look like a picture, but there could be JavaScript code that's loaded as well that can do things like steal your cookies. I'm sure Yelp and them have protections against that stuff, but who's to say it's not possible to do that, Sometimes developers think limiting input values on the client side is good enough. So changing values to something the web application wouldn't be expecting is a good source of discovering stored XSS. For example, age field that is expecting an integer from a drop-down menu, but instead you manually send the request rather than using a form to allow you to try malicious payloads. Right, so this is where burp's repeater might come in. You might also create a fuzzing harness where you could say, well, my age is, BC, or my age is, alert XSS, or my something that, might not be allowed, or, might be able to be fixed inside of a burp request. And then of course there should be some logic on the server side to go, I don't know anybody who is BC age, unless you're in some kind of, weird culture where you use hexadecimal numbers for your, but that would make you like 200 something years old, 300 something years old. I forget what B is. It's a lot. So 16 times 1, whatever. It's more than what should be normal. So yeah. Once you've found some data which is being stored in the web application, you need to confirm you can successfully run your JavaScript payload. Your payload will be dependent on where in the application your code is reflected. We'll learn more about this in task 6. So how are XSS payloads stored on a website? That's an 8-character word, so usually in a database. I'm sure web applications have gotten more complicated recently, so it could be a flat file database. It could be like a NoSQL kind of thing where it's just a JSON, key pair, key value pair. You could be using some old ass Oracle database, depending on if you've got some legacy technology. So, yep. All right. Now, I won't lie to you. This next one has always been kind of confusing for me. I can't, in my brain, I cannot grok what a DOM is. I get it. There's a document, and it stands for the document object model and is the programming interface for XML and HTML documents. But I have never been able to fully like reason out where it exists in the document. It's not, HTML tags. It's not body tags. I thought once I almost had it where it was like XML. It's like you can set whatever XML tag you want. So you deciding or interpreting what the XML or the HTML tags are is kind of like the style sheets. So this would like be, I felt like DOM is kind of like how style sheets interpret HTML and XML tags. But yeah, so far I'm not an expert on DOM XSS. I have not ever found DOM XSS. It's probably because I didn't know how to effectively attack it. I found plenty of stored and persistent, or stored and reflective, but not so much the DOM stuff, which has probably been to the my regret on some engagements where there might actually have been DOM XSS. I just didn't exactly know how to look for it. All right, so it is a programming interface for XML and HTML documents. It represents the page so that programs can change the document structure, style, and content. So in the way they're explaining it, it sounds like it's a style sheet. So you're putting, XSS inside of a style sheet. A web page is a document, and this document can be either displayed in the browser window or as HTML source. A diagram of the HTML DOM is explained below. Or, in my case, the browser has an interface or a programming language where it goes, if I see this, I know to do this. And what we're doing is changing how the browser itself renders the web page. And that may be where it needs to be. But I have read some of this, and it's, my old ass brain probably just doesn't grok what that is. So DOM-based XSS is where the JavaScript execution happens directly in the browser without any new pages being loaded or data submitted to the backend code. All right, so we're screwing with the browser at this point, and is the way they're explaining it. So I've never gone through this section before, so sometimes I just need a better way of understanding it. So there's an issue in the browser itself, not necessarily with the page, and so we're adding JavaScript code that interacts directly with the rendering of the pages, and we can mess with that code. So website's JavaScript gets contents from the windows.location.hash parameter, then writes onto the page in the currently being viewed section. Contents of the hash aren't checked for malicious code, allowing an attacker to inject JavaScript of their choosing onto the web page. Potential impact. Crafted links could be sent to potential victims, redirecting them to another website or steal from the page or user session. And how to test for that. DOM XSS, DOM-based XSS can be challenging to test for. Thank you. And requires a certain amount of knowledge of JavaScript to read the source code. You'd need to look for parts of the code that access certain variables that an attacker can have control of, such as window.location.x parameters. When you found those bits of code, you'd then need to see how they are handled and whether the values are ever written to the web page's DOM or passed to unsafe methods such as eval. Okay. What unsafe JavaScript method is good to look for in source code? Well, that one is easy enough, so it should be eval with those things. Yep, okay. Blind XSS. Every web application vulnerability has a blind version. Blind XSS, blind SQL injection, blind being blind, yeah. Blind XSS is similar to stored in that your payload gets stored on the website for another user to view, but in this instance, you can't see the payload working or be able to test it for yourself first. Example website. Website has a contact form where you can message a member of the staff. Message content doesn't get checked for any malicious code, which allows the attacker to enter anything they wish. These messages then get turned into support tickets, which staff view on the private web portal. Right. This kind of attack seems to be where you would need to have intimate knowledge of what's going on in the back end. Like if you know this website connects to a Remedy or Jira or something like that, and you know that there is a vulnerability in certain versions of Jira where if you go to the public site and you click submit, like a help desk ticket, or I found a bug bounty, click, I'm putting in my information, click here, it goes through all of the various systems inside of Jira, for example. I'm not saying that there are vulnerabilities in Jira, but any kind of support ticket system, and either the request gets mangled in such a way as to allow for the malicious code to run, or people just click on it because they assume that they're not going to get any bad things coming from outside. Using the correct payload, the attacker's JavaScript can make calls to an attacker's website, revealing the staff portal URL, the staff members' cookies, and even the contents of the portal pages being viewed. Right. So they load it up very much like they said stored XSS. So you're just saying, help, I've got problems. And then, what you don't see in the, or what you see in the payload is automatically loaded because it's stored in a database somewhere being called by someone else. When testing for blind XSS vulnerabilities, you need to ensure your payload has a callback, usually an HTTP request. This way, if and when your code is being executed. In this case, you'd probably want to do it over HTTPS. A popular tool for blind XSS is XSS Hunter. XSS Hunter. Okay. All right. All right, there we go. There's that. Actually, let me go look at that. Learn more about how XSS Hunter can help you find even blind XSS. All right, so there's a ton of features. Yeah. So this is good. Okay. Very nice. Victim, user agent, cookies, right? Yeah. Hunter payloads work as probes. This is one of those tools where you actually kind of need to know what you're doing to use it. It's not like SQL map or whatever, you can just blast it out and it's noisy as hell. You kind of need to understand what's going on. You'll generate a Hunter report. So yeah, there's this is not a paid thing, right? Yeah, they're asking you to donate, but yeah, I am mandatory. You can sign up. There's various features. Sign up. Does anybody else find it odd that you're on a site that talks about doing blind XSS and they give you a contact form with a username and a password? Anyone else, does that give anybody else pause? I don't know. Makes me not want to use this or put legit emails or passwords in here. They do put the haha funnies where they put hacker2 in here, but yeah, I'm good. Maybe that's the point, though. It's like, oh, you're going to create an XSS. You're going to create your own custom domain. Yeah. It makes me feel weird. I'm not going to use that. I mean, if you need to do blind XSS, that may be a way to do it. The one thing I would say is if that allows you to do that and you're actually on an engagement, you need to think about some of the legal repercussions of doing that, especially if you're trying to show, hey, I can grab a staff member's cookies or authorization stuff. I'm not saying that the owners of that website would do anything malicious with it, but it would be, in some ways, that could be considered a breach. And could cause problems if you're the company doing the engagement and then the company taking the engagement from you. You could say, well, we used XSS Hunter and went to their website and set stuff up, and we sent the staff members cookies or credentials across to a third-party website that we don't have control of. And they'd be like, excuse me, you could potentially run into issues, so you might want to double check and make sure use your own infrastructure or find a way to do blind XSS without using a fourth party. In this case, I don't know what XSS Hunter does with that information, so it's just something to think about when you're doing that kind of stuff. So this is XSS Hunter. What tool can you use for blind XSS, right? And what type of XSS is similar to blind XSS? So that would be the stored XSS in this case. So yes, I worked with a pen tester once who wanted to see if he could email out potential PCI data, and he was successful. And then he had to report that he had accidentally breached by putting out real PCI data. Yeah, it was a mistake. Thankfully it wasn't a ton of stuff. It was like 1 or 2, but it was still enough. Just don't mention it in the report. Yeah, easy K or XK in this case, or sidestep in this case. That's, yeah, you start doing that kind of stuff and it's a slippery slope. But, because the last thing you want, and again, I'm not saying XSS Hunter people aren't on the up and up, but you're putting somebody else's information potentially in the hands of somebody that you don't know. You just know that they have a nice website with a really nifty looking UI, and oh yeah, I only had 2 weeks to do this engagement, and it would have taken me 3 weeks to set up the infrastructure to do this kind of stuff. So this is a nice shortcut, but then it's like, so yeah, see, they say please email with abuse complaints, thank you. But I mean, the damage would be done once you got in and did this stuff. I mean, it's how much you want to trust those organizations. Right, don't dox customer data. Yeah, and it really depends on if it's a paid feature or paid function and your company trusts it. Make sure you run it through your own management so they can take on that business risk. So you work for a consultancy. Hey, we want to use XSS Hunter. If your management's like, yeah, go ahead and use whatever tool you need to make it available. Just know that XSS Hunter could store that data somewhere. It's really up to whatever risk you want to take, and then you letting the customer know, yeah, we use third parties that may or may not store your data, and understand what the third parties or the fourth parties in this case data retention policies are. If they don't store it at all, that's great, and make sure you're agreeing to that. That would be my lawn service and putting down some dillo dirt mulch stuff. So. All right. Well, we're gonna see how far we can get in this in the next 15 to 30 minutes. The payload is the JavaScript code we want to execute on either browser. Let me go ahead and start that while we're reading. On another user's browser as proof of concept to demonstrate a vulnerability in the website. Your payload could have many intentions, from just bringing up a JavaScript alert box to prove we can execute JavaScript on the target website, to extracting information from the website or user session. How your JavaScript payload gets reflected in a target website's code will determine the payload you need to use. To explain this, click the green Start Machine button, ding, okay, and when the machine has loaded, click the below link in a new tab. Okay, the aim, and we'll just have to go up to start an attack box as well. The aim for each level will be to execute the JavaScript alert function with the string THM example. So this makes a nice little box, says alert THM script. Level 1, you're presented with a form asking you to enter your name. Once you've entered your name, it will be presented on the line below, for example. Okay. If you view the page source, you'll see your name reflected in the code. I think the reason I yawn is because I forget to breathe. So that may be something to that. Instead of entering your name, we're instead going to try entering the following JavaScript payload. Okay, we're going to do script alert THM, and of course the semicolon ends the JavaScript line, and then everything is connected and controlled into its own function there. So, and then we're at 1010, 148, 182. Now, when you click the enter button, you'll get an alert pop-up with the string THM, and the page source will look like the following. Okay, so hello, alert. Hello, insert name here. Kind of like one of those email bots you get that will send you things like, hey, I get them a lot because of the podcast. Like PR companies will be like, "Hey, Amanda," and I'm like, "Okay, I know that this is a bot because they're scraping, um, Apple Podcasts or something for the author name. So sometimes I'll put my name first. Sometimes I'll put Miss Berlin's name first, Amanda. Sometimes I'll put Brian's first. So if I see Brian with a BRI or Amanda, then I'll be like, okay, they're automated workflow to make these things. It's obviously some kind of sales pitch. It's a nice way of figuring out, where you're about to be, getting spam from. So let me shrink the size of the fonts on the screen down a little bit here. All right, there we go. That way I have a bit more room to work with. Okay, Control-Shift-V, there we go. All right, so now we need to go to 1010, 148, 182. 1010, 148, 182. 1010, 148, 182. All right. 10. All right, HTTPS 10-10-148-182.p.thmlabs.com. Okay, so we're going to take the script stuff that we learned here, alert THM, and just pop that bad boy right in there. Ding! We did that. Fantastic. All right, so we'll view page source. Oh, wait, there we go. Confirming XSS payload. XSS payload successful. All right, so let's view source, and it says, yep, there it is right there. Ding. So if I'm using green shot, Control-Shift-V or Control-Shift-Z, and then I just swink. Now I'm taking a screenshot of that. That would be great. Or if I go back to the tab itself, and I'm typing in my stuff, the little box would pop up. I can do Control-Shift-V, and then it'll take a screenshot and show me that XSS payload is successful, and I just bring it up in any any graphics bit there. All right, instead of entering your name, we're going to do that. Okay, level 2, like in the previous level, you're being asked again to enter your name. This time when clicking enter, your name is being reflected in an input tag instead. So enter your name. All right, so viewing the page source, so let me put Bob. Okay, hello, Bob. I know. All right. It wouldn't work if you were to try the previous JavaScript payload because you can't run it from inside the input tag. Instead, we need to escape the input tag first so the payload can run properly. You can do this by using the following payload, right? So you're trying to close the input tag. So what you want is, in this case, you're going to, you want the input value to equal nothing, which is why you have the parentheses over here. So you're closing that input tag and inserting your own. So yeah, there's a bit of jankiness there. So you want to copy. Yeah, and these are. I mean, we're just. I don't want to say that this is fairly remediary, but I mean there are so many ways of doing these kinds of attacks where you can do these kinds of things. So there you go. You're getting your clear, you're getting your THM, so I'll be making a screenshot of that. A good screenshot is often hard to do because sometimes you'll want the URL in there included as well as that saying, I've proven, I'm obviously on their website doing these kinds of things. Click OK, we're confirming the XSS payload. There's quite a bit of logic on these web apps here. I mean, trying to, one second. Hello, what's going on? Yep, now my wife and family are back. So, all right. So, yeah, now we've gotten successful. Go to level 2. I thought I did that. Okay, I thought I did that one already. There we go. Oh, that's really weird. Oh, hello. All right, we'll do Bob again. Oh, okay, it was successful. So go to level 3. All right, level 3. We have to escape the text area tag with a little differently from the input one. So this is, let's go view page source. And let me see, where's the span? What did it say? Text area. Text area is text area. Did I miss something? Must be after you submit it. So close that, close that. So I'll type my name, Bob. Okay, hit enter. It's going to ask me, confirming payload. Okay, so now we can view source. Okay. Oh, so there's a bunch of stuff here. Ignore the code below. It's not challenge related. Okay, so there's some additional bits they got to do to make this thing work. Text area, there it is right there. So you're in the text area. Which causes the text area element to close so the script will run. Now when you click the enter button, you'll get a pop-up alert with the string. So you have to do, all right, so you have to close the, you have to close the text area and get around it. So all this is about getting around closing certain text portions on the browser window. So there we go. All right, and I will close this tab. And then you should be able to pop this. Oh, man. Okay, let's go back over here, copy. All right, there we go. Close that, and then we will Control V. All right. All right, so the text area, which causes the text area to close so the script will run. Right. Now when you click the enter button, you'll get a pop-up. Oh, I see. All right. So we go up here to enter name and put it up here and then hit enter. Right, there you go. All right, which makes a lot more sense. So it's confirming the XSS payload, and that was successful. So we close the text area, and we're basically inserting our own. So this will no longer be a text area if we tried to put anything in it, which is why the payload was so successful. Oh, thank you, Easy K. I appreciate the love there from the bits and those. So I appreciate that. Thank you for some bolts. I actually took the time to create special bit types here. So they're called bolts. I don't know why I called them bolts, but everyone tried to, it seems like every Twitch user I've got creates their own little thing. So instead of bits, I had a little lightning bolt that I just used. So thank you for that. And the dollar signs are custom as well. I I go and find free icons and I can animate those properly. So level 4, entering your name into the form, you'll see it reflected on the page. This level looks similar to level 1, but upon inspecting the page source, you'll see your name gets reflected in some JavaScript code. So you see script, document, get elements by class name, enter atom, enter HTML atom. We have to escape the existing JavaScript command, so you have to escape out of it using the semicolon, as we've shown here, using a single quote and then semicolon. The single quote is very powerful, especially in SQL injection as well. You have to close the query that is going on and to be able to inject your own. So when you see single quote and 1 = 1, that creates the conditional phrase. So the single quote in JavaScript and in SQL is very powerful, very useful in I would say basic types of attacks and things. So so we'll go ahead and copy that over. Yeah, so what we need to do is put this into username over here and then hit enter. And confirming the XSS payload. Oh, it failed. Womp womp. All right, so what did I do wrong here? So you'll see from the below screenshot, we'll execute your code. The single quote closes the field specifying the name, right? Then the semicolon signifies the end of the current command, and the / at the end makes everything after it a comment rather than executable code. So yeah, this is very similar to the injection stuff where we were doing injection, what do we call that? Server-side request forgery. We're actually creating a custom, area where we're carving out the area on that. So now when you click the enter button, you'll get an alert pop up of the THM string, and then you'll get a confirmation message saying your payload was successful in the link. So, okay, we got 2 more here. All right. So copy that. Okay, yes. Okay, so enter your name. So entering your name in the form, you'll see it reflected on the page, right? You'll have to escape the existing JavaScript commands to run your code. All right, so we have that. Did I know why that failed? No, that's not what I wanted. Why did that fail? Entering your name in the form, you'll see it reflected on the page. So Bob, okay. Okay, confirming the XSS payload will fail, right? Okay, and then let's see. Upon inspecting the page source, you'll see your name gets reflected in some JavaScript code. Right, okay, so goes to view page source. Let's see, my bad. All right, click that. Yeah, see, text area Bob, okay. Wait, did I go backwards? I'm on level 3 again. Why am I on level 3 again? Doesn't make any damn sense. Should be on should be on number 4. That's probably why it failed in the first place. Okay, I don't know why I went backwards, but all right, so let me, maybe I'll have to finish this later, but we'll see. All right, Control V, enter. Okay. Go to level 4. All right, so okay, Control C, Control V. All right, so again with the single quotes, enter. All right, there's the code. That worked. Okay, so that did work. I was on the wrong level for this. So, all right, and we're going to go to level 5 now. So, if anybody's having any questions, please let me know. I'm not trying to zoom through this too badly or too quickly, I hope. But yeah, I want to get through at least this section, and then we can do the practical example of the blind stuff later on, maybe Monday afternoon or something like that, because we have our podcast tomorrow night. So. Level 5. Now this level looks like the same as level 1. Your name will get reflected in the same place. However, if you try the old payload, it won't work. When you view the page source, you'll see why. So view page source, and let me get that out of the way. So it says it has an alert THM. Right. Okay. Oh, wait. Let me go back in and go Bob. Bob. Okay. All right. So yeah, that didn't work. I know. Page source. No, not info. Page. Page source. There we go. Okay. So hello Bob. Right. Confirming XSS payload. Original payload. See. Okay. So we talked a little bit about this. We're having to add additional bits. So it's the final payload is what you're wanting. Is you're going to want something that will be pulled out. So it's looking for the term script in this case. Anything that says script, because it's like, oh, script is bad. Nobody should be, adding script to this. So by adding bits in there, and you may actually have to go several layers deep, or somebody might try to. This is where people are trying to block list certain words, where it would actually make more sense to do input validation of looking for certain things. So what is going to happen is the system that is in place is going to remove script, but leave script, which then gets squeezed back together into script and still run. So that's a good way of getting around it. And if you go to Brute Logic's website, there's a lot of discussion about doing these kinds of things where you can get like pre-tags. So you like, pre-tags are also a good way of doing that. Let me go back over here to level 5, and we will put that in, hit enter, and you'll see the box pop up, and it will run the payload, and oh, we were successful, ding, ding. All right, so we're at the final boss level here, and this is where the boss music comes up. Similar to level 2, where we had to escape from the value attribute of an input tag, we can try this again, but that won't work either. Let's inspect the page source to see why. So they put this in under image path, and it says, oh, it's looking for script alert. Looks like it's got some double quotes in here, THM, single quotes. You can see the greater than, less than signs get filtered out from our payload, preventing us to escaping the image tag. To get around the filter, we can take advantage of the additional attributes of the image tag, such as the onload event. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, onload. On mouse over is another good one. So like if you want to make people, you could actually make it so the enter button, if somebody put their mouse over it, it would on mouse over or mouse hover, the box could pop up. That kind of thing. You can do tons of stuff with the onload section there. So let's change our payload to reflect this. So you're going to look for cat images and make sure you get your semicolon in there. And you're going to copy that into the chat box here. Doink. There you go. And then now when you click the enter button, you'll get a pop-up with the string THM and a confirmation message that your payload was successful. With this being the last level, you'll receive the flag that can be entered below. So yeah, and you can see all kinds of polyglots in here. On error is another good one. You can make it error out and cause things to happen. Why does it hate me? All right, there you go. And so you want it to look for cat.jpg, but you also want it to say, when it loads, also give me this. So it's almost like an and kind of thing. So boop. Oh, we got our kitty. Okay, there you go. There's your kitty. And it's got your pop-up box. Oh, look at that little kitty. Okay. And then your flag for this is THM XSS master. Oh, no, there we go. No, that's not good. Oh. Huh, apparently the little curly braces or whatever don't matter. It just wants what's inside there. So cool. Hope everybody got a lot out of this. We'll actually do the blind XSS sometime next week, I would imagine, just to make sure that we can close this out and give me a flag, if you will. I'm going to go spend some time with the family, but I hope you all found value in this. Please check out our Discord and oh, not at Discord, Bang Discord. There we go. That's the invite if you want to hang out with us on the Discord. We're moderated. We have a code of conduct. If everybody's wanting to check that out, you can do so. We have a lot of stuff going on in there. We can actually continue the discussion over there after the stream is over, which is another good thing about building this community. So hope everyone has a good rest of their day. We'll be on tomorrow night, Mr. Betcher, Miss Berlin, hopefully, and I, and Mick Douglas. So if you're interested, come and check us out. So hope everyone has a great day, and talk again soon.